Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we are tackling a source that is, well, probably one of the most morally complex we've ever looked at.
Hmm.
We're talking about the life and methods of Jordan Belfort, the man behind Stratton Oakmont, who you probably know from the film The Wolf of Wall Street.
And we should probably just, get the big issue out on the table right away.
Absolutely. The
Yeah.
whole story is a huge cautionary tale.
Yeah.
It's about fraud, it's about excess, and it all ends in a spectacular collapse.
Right. Belfort went to jail for 22 months for securities fraud. There's no getting around that.
But the sources we're looking at today suggest that if you can maintain a sort of critical distance,
A very critical distance.
there are some incredibly potent, if ethically very tricky, insights here into things like entrepreneurial drive and high-stakes sales.
And that's really our mission for you today. We have to try and divorce the mechanics of his success from the completely illicit context.
What are we focusing on?
Three main areas. First, how Belfort built this all-consuming personal drive. Second, the tactical blueprint of his straight-line persuasion system.
Okay.
And third, the methods he used to build such an intensely loyal, high-performing team. We are looking at the tools here, and I want to be clear, not endorsing how they were used.
Let's start with that foundation then, the internal engine. Because the sources really highlight this incredible, almost fanatical personal momentum.
It really starts with the absolute elimination of any self-imposed limits.
Right.
Belfort's whole philosophy is about radical commitment. He has this quote, "The only thing that stands between you and your goals is the story you keep telling yourself."
About why you can't get it. Yeah, I remember that one.
It's basically a form of aggressive cognitive reprogramming.
We see that theme a lot, but in the context of Stratton Oakmont, where the risks were, I mean, they were legal, they were existential,
Yeah.
it takes on a much darker tone.
It really does. It's about killing all the justifications, right? You stop focusing on why a goal might be impossible or dangerous, and you focus only on how to get it done.
Which requires this brutal persistence.
Exactly. And a constant shifting of your identity. Belfort teaches that, you are not your past failures.
You're just the sum of the resources you've gathered from those failures.
Right. It transforms failure into a new capability.
And the sources point to a subtle but powerful change that has to happen with this. It's in your language.
It sounds small, but it's huge.
It's about replacing that tentative language like, I would like to, or it would be good if.
With something committed, like
Yeah.
I must and I will.
That small shift turns a wish into a mission, doesn't it?
It makes the goal non-negotiable in your own mind. And of course, there's passion. He was, whatever his faults, deeply passionate about the art of the sale.
Okay, so let's turn that internal drive into external action. Let's get into the methodology,
It's a straight line system.
the engine that powered the whole thing. It seems to be all about goal-oriented selling and really controlling the entire conversation.
What's so fascinating is how tactical the very beginning is, the opening. It's designed to just bypass a prospect's natural skepticism in about 4 seconds.
4 seconds, that's brutal. What are the three things you have to nail down that fast?
Okay, so first, you have to establish that you are sharp as a tack. You just have to sound incredibly competent.
Right, like you know what you're talking about.
Second, you have to be enthusiastic as hell. You're signaling you have something genuinely great to offer. If you're not excited, they won't be.
Those first two make sense. But the third one, a force to be reckoned with. That sounds, I don't know, borderline arrogant.
And that's the key distinction. It's not about being aggressive. It's about establishing authority as a guide.
As someone who can solve their problem.
Exactly. People are just wired to listen to authority figures who seem to have a solution. So if you deliver competence and enthusiasm with this high level of confidence, the prospect just sees you as someone worth listening to.
So that gets your foot in the door. But the end goal is always the close. And this is where he talks about the 5 spinners.
Correct. The idea is pretty simple. All 5 elements have to line up at a high level of certainty for a sale to close.
And those are, what, the product, you, the company.
The product, the seller so, you, the company, the price, and the time. If any one of those is weak, the whole thing just stalls out.
But the real focus is on what he calls the 3 10s. Let's break those down. What are these pillars of certainty?
So the prospect has to reach a 10 on a scale of 1 to 10. A 10 means absolute conviction, both emotionally and logically.
On what, specifically?
3 things. First, they have to be a 10 on loving the product. They have to truly believe it solves their problem.
Okay.
Second, they have to be a 10 on liking and trusting you, the salesperson. They need to believe you're ethical and you actually care.
And the third 10.
They have to trust the company. If there's even a shred of doubt about the company's reputation or its ability to deliver, the sale is dead.
And you have to build both emotional and logical certainty.
You have to. People buy on emotion, but they justify with logic. A 10 means both the heart and the brain are completely sold.
This is where it gets really deep into psychology with these two concepts, the action threshold and the pain threshold.
Right. Most people get the action threshold. It's just, the level of certainty someone needs to finally say yes.
But the pain threshold, that's different. How does that work?
The pain threshold is the amount of discomfort someone feels about their current situation. And a core part of the straight line system, and a very manipulative part, is the idea of elegantly raising that pain.
Raising their pain.
Yeah.
That sounds counterintuitive. Most sales training is about reducing pain.
That's the key. It's about loss aversion. You don't focus on their current, maybe minor discomfort. You amplify the future pain they're going to suffer if they don't take your solution.
Ah, so you're making the cost of doing nothing feel much higher.
Exactly. And by doing that, you lower their action threshold. They become so desperate to avoid that future pain that saying yes becomes the easier option. He calls it keeping your powder dry. Don't solve their pain too early.
Wow. That is an aggressive psychological lever.
Yeah.
And it's all summed up perfectly in that famous "sell me this pen" anecdote.
It's the perfect little micro lesson, isn't it?
Yeah.
When he asks his friend Brad to sell him the pen, Brad doesn't list the features. He doesn't say, it's a great pen, it writes smoothly.
No, he just asks Belfort to write his name down. And Belfort says,
I don't have a pen.
and the punchline is just genius in its simplicity. Supply and demand, my friend.
Exactly. It's not about pitching. It's about establishing a need first. You have to define the problem before you can sell the solution.
Let's shift from the individual tactics to leadership. Because Belfort was, by all accounts, an incredibly charismatic and effective leader. He inspired real loyalty.
And his strategy was really unconventional. He hired people based on hunger and raw potential, not on their CVs.
He figured he could teach the skills,
God, he couldn't teach ambition.
which we see with his best friend, Donny Azoff.
Yeah.
Just an inexperienced misfit who was hungry.
Absolutely. And he built this powerful belief system. He genuinely believed his team could do anything. One source called it confidence ciega y absoluta.
Blind and absolute confidence.
Mm-hmm. And that belief, combined with, intense camaraderie, celebrating every success, it built extreme loyalty.
The rewards were obviously unethical and excessive, but the core lesson for any business is there. Team spirit and rewarding achievement drives performance.
And it does something else, too. It sort of demystifies the C-suite. His team started as what the source called cuatro patanes cualesquiera.
4 ordinary misfits.
Right. It busts that myth that you have to be some kind of semi-god to succeed in high finance. It shows that ordinary people can get extraordinary results, for good or for bad, if they follow a powerful methodology.
And that brings us to the most important point of all, the counterpoint. We've spent all this time on the drive, the tactics, the charisma.
But now we have to talk about why it all fell apart.
All of it. The success, the money, the training, it was all temporary.
This is the core warning, and it has to land. The whole story of The Wolf of Wall Street is a profound cautionary tale because the entire operation lacked a single critical thing. An ethical foundation.
Integrity.
Exactly. The sources are clear on this. Without integrity in leadership, none of this matters.
It's like building a palace on sand. It looks incredible for a while, but the collapse is inevitable. The lack of accountability led directly to his ruin.
Right. His downfall wasn't because his sales techniques stopped working. It was because trust collapsed, and trust is the real currency in business.
So the question for any leader has to be, constantly, is this how I want to be doing things?
And what's the long-term impact here? The final lesson from Belfort is really the need to assume complete responsibility. His own reflection that he lost everything confirms it. The drive was real, the tactics were powerful.
But the lack of accountability guaranteed failure.
So, to synthesize this for you, we started in the chaos of the wolf, and we pulled out some really practical lessons. The need for persistence, the mechanics of building certainty in a sale, the power of intense training.
And these tools are powerful no matter who is using them.
But that duality is the key takeaway. Power, charisma, strategy, they can get you massive, rapid success.
But without integrity and accountability as a foundation, they just accelerate the failure.
Mm-hmm.
So we've learned Belfort's system relies heavily on amplifying a prospect's future pain to push them to act. And that brings up a really interesting question for you to think about in your own professional life. How often do you find yourself motivated more by the fear of future pain than by the promise of future pleasure? We'll catch you on the next deep dive.
Subscribe, share, like, comment. Thank you for watching.